Real Country 1430 AM and 1073 FM WRDN. I'm Brian Winnekins, and joining us this morning is Greg Doverspike. And for our YouTube video as well, thank you to the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board sponsoring our YouTube videos. We're going to talk a little bit this morning about the school board meeting from Wednesday. And Mr. Doverspike, thanks for joining us. Well, I guess first, one of the things on the business side of it, the space availability cap for next year has been set. And if I'm not mistaken, this is one for open enrollment, but this is also something that we were, I guess, quote unquote, full this year on that, right?
Yeah, every year we're usually full on our special education side, just because of enrollment numbers, and quite honestly, pretty much every district I talk to is usually full on special education side of open enrollment. So we cap that off as full. We do not accept anybody for open enrollment on the special education side. We do have open enrollment availability on the regular ed side. We do put cap numbers in our K through 3 grades because of the academic, the AGR. They try to reduce the numbers, and then we don't have caps above 3rd grade. But we've never, ever run into cap issues in terms of needing to restrict the number of open enrollment kids. But this is just a formal step that state statute says we have to go through every year by the end of January. So it's just a formal process. It's one of those boxes we have to check off every January because the open enrollment window starts in mid-February. So it's just a box we check every January. It's a standing thing on our board agenda, and we check the box and move on now to the next month.
So from 3rd grade on up, is it a certain number per grade, or what's the number on that?
Yeah, there's a formula that we use. Typically, we try to maintain in K through 3 kind of an 18-to-1 teacher to student ratio. So we take the number of teachers times it by 18 kids, and then figure out what our enrollment is for in that grade. This year, obviously, 1st grade we moved to 2nd grade, and then we minus the number, that 18 times 4, and then what the number we have, and that's this number of quote unquote spaces we say we have available. But like I said, we've never really run into a problem with it. It's just never really been an issue for us as a school district. That we always have had plenty of room for everybody. So it's, like I said, it's really more about the formal process that we have to do it. It's kind of one of those necessary evils that you have to go through more than it is about the concern with the numbers. There are some school districts where it's an issue. Some of your districts that have higher open enrollment numbers, when you start getting around the Hudsons and the Somersets and those areas, it becomes a little bit more of an issue that have higher open enrollment numbers. But for us, it's never really been an issue.
Now, I know during the December meeting in some of the building administrators report for Caddy Woodlawn, we've had a student explosion of new students coming in. What happened?
It's kind of one of those cyclical things. I think the one thing I've noticed in as my career has progressed in the administrative side is, usually you saw kids move at certain times of year. You might get them about this time of year as the semester change happens, or you get them obviously over the summer as the new school year starts. But the one thing that you've seen now is just people are moving year round. It's a cyclical thing. People are constantly coming in and out of your district, and right now we're on an uptick. We're seeing a bunch of kids moving in throughout the year. We've seen an uptick of enrollment in certain grades at the elementary school level. It's a good problem to have, obviously. So we're welcoming in. I'm not really sure where they're living, because I know housing is tough in the district, but they're obviously finding places to live, which is a good problem, or a good situation. And the more the merrier, and keep that enrollment increasing.
Well, because of the jump in enrollment, does that teacher to student ratio, is that throwing that off, where now you have to have more 1st grade classes or more kindergarten classes or something like that?
Yeah, we're taking a long, hard look at it. There might be a possibility we might have to add a 5th, would be 2nd grade next year. That's kind of something we're monitoring. It's definitely on the docket for further discussion. Administratively, we're having that discussion. We've talked a little bit with the board about it. We're not in a position quite yet to make a recommendation that way. We got to let a couple fiscal type things drop yet, to figure out the fiscal side of it. But there is a possibility we may have to, which is a good problem to have, I guess. We may have to add a fifth, second grade next year because of the increase in that first grade. A lot of these kids moving in seem to fall in that grade level. And some of the kids moving in are a little bit more of a higher needs type students, so that sometimes it brings its own unique set of circumstances, but challenges that we're more than willing to take on.
Talking with Durand, Arkansas School Superintendent Greg Doverspike this morning about the school board meeting from January 10th. The board also acted on the 24-25 high school course handbook. So these are the classes and things you need to change. Were there big changes in that, or does that kind of stay similar from year to year?
Yeah, this year was, every once in a while there's some shifts. Sometimes it happens after you get some staffing changes, especially in the CTE areas or your elective area courses. There really wasn't many changes. Mainly the changes you saw were what I might call rebranding, changes of course titles, changes of descriptions, trying to make it more appealing. Maybe a couple changes to requirements to be in the class, but for the most part, there really wasn't anything substantial that was changed in any of the classes. It was pretty, what I would call technical type changes, more of the verbiage, how a class is described, or trying to modernize or better market the name of a class type of things, or the requirements to take the class, the prerequisites. So nothing real major. It's just one of those formal steps, kind of like the space availability caps we have to go through, is get the board to approve it. And now that allow Mr. Trudeau and the school counselor to start the scheduling process with the kids for next year. Kind of in our world, especially my world as a superintendent, once the calendar flips to 24, everybody else is still thinking the second semester of this year. We've kind of flipped the switch and we're already planning next school year. We're now getting deep in the budget planning for next school year, and we've kind of turned the calendar over. And now, Stephen is starting to turn the calendar over too as he starts the scheduling process for next year.
And this is different this is more like you say, the description of the classes. It's not, this is the books we're using, or this is how, that sort of thing. That's totally separate, right?
Yeah. Great question, Brian. No, it's the catalog for better terms. It's the catalog that says, here's what we're offering. Here's the classes we're offering. Here's what describes the class that we're offering. It's nothing to do with the curriculum, nothing to do with the textbooks. It's, they're trying to modernize the way that the class sounds to make it more appealing to a kid. It has nothing to do with what's taught in the classroom. It's just trying to modernize the verbiage, just like when we were in school, they probably modernized the verbiage from when our grandparents were in school. And as it's kind of gone on, it'll get modernized when my grandkids are in school from when my kids were in school, kind of a deal, and it's just kind of the sign of the times.
Talking with Durand, Arkansas School Superintendent Greg Doverspike this morning about the school board meeting from Wednesday night. The district went into closed session and did talk about the Hanson Park property. Was there any action on that? Or is there anything you can bring us up to date on the sale of that property?
Yeah, the board made the decision to extend the bidding period till January 31st. And then the facilities committee, is going to have a meeting on February 1st at 4:30 to see if there's any additional bids that came in. And then they're going to make a recommendation, hopefully, to the full board on February 21st for possibly the sale of the property. So we did receive one bid, but the board just wanted to give a little more time in case there was anybody else interested. So they did extend the bidding period for a couple more weeks. So it is going to be going back out in the wedge and the shopper here and next couple of weeks. So we did extend the bidding period for till the end of the month, just to give people a little more time. I think we kind of realized that with the holidays in there, and Thanksgiving, it might have been a little tight for people to kind of get some things in line. So we extended it a couple of weeks just to give people some additional time to have opportunities to analyze what their options were and look into what some options were for the property.
Meanwhile, the board also in closed session talked about the middle and high school parking lot and plaza with having Auth Consulting look at that? Is there some plans here to redo all of that, or what's going to be happening with that?
Yeah, our two big projects this summer, we're re-roofing a section of the middle school, high school, and then we're going to redo the parking lots in the middle school, high school property, and then we're going to redo the flat work and the stairwell in the plaza area. The parking lots here, we last touched these projects, the parking lots in one of my first years here. We chip sealed them. And it's time just to dig them up and redo the whole thing. It's going to coincide with the city doing the 6th Ave project, right next to our property. So we're going to try to kind of coincide some of our work with the city. Maybe we'll get lucky and the city will get lucky and a vendor will see both of these projects at the same time. And maybe they'll think, I can try to get both of these and give each party a little bit better deal. Because they're going to be able to tackle two projects basically in the same location. So we just kind of thought this was a good opportunity to do it. It's already kind of dug up anyway, so might as well dig the whole area up. And then with the plaza, the flat work, the flat work up on the top and in the kind of the staired area, not the staired area, but the recessed area there just needs to we've had problems with it sinking, so it just needs to get re-leveled and cemented. And then those stairs are actually original to I think the 95 construction project. So they really need to be, we've kind of piecemealed them together. Just waiting for us to do the parking lot. I've kind of always had that on the radar the last handful of years, and I just kind of wanted to wait for when we did the parking lot, we were going to do those at the same time. So yeah, this summer, we're going to do a lot of work here in this building with the roof, and then we're going to redo the parking lots here and that front plaza. The retaining walls are staying. We're just touching the flat work and the stairs.
With the stairs, I guess I bring this up just because I have to walk up them with my equipment for the basketball games. Is one of those, the smaller ones, going to be replaced to make it a ramp? Because for those that right now handicap evolve, they are currently going in the back way. So is there a thought of maybe having one of those made into a ramp instead?
We have looked at that in the past. We actually looked at that during the building project. The issue with making it a ramp is in order to make it ADA compliant, having the slope the right way, we would have to slope that with about 6 switchbacks. And it would basically run from not that many, it would be like 3 switchbacks, and it would run from like the stairwell over to about where the old stairs were, and then back and back again, just because the rise has to only be so many feet for so many feet out, and that grade is elevates so fast that it just was an astronomical expense, plus the railings that would have to go with it. It just was not cost effective, and quite frankly, it'd be, it'd be like a 400-yard walk to go up 15 yards. It got to the point where it wasn't feasible. So we crossed that off the list. It was something we definitely took a very long, hard look at. It was one of the first things that I asked during our building project in 15, 16, whenever that was, is there a way we can make the front handicap accessible? And they said, well, here's your option, Greg. We wouldn't recommend it. And then as a result of that, that's why I pushed hard to put the 2 handicap stalls on the side of the district office. So at least we had another attempt at having some handicap stalls semi-visible from the front of the building that are at least on the level of the building versus having everything in the back of the building. So, we are aware that's a problem, and we're trying, we tried our best to address it. It's just the unfortunate reality is the topography of, I guess you could almost say our entire city is, we're in a valley and everything slopes up from any direction you are.
Well, then there's the maintenance of that very long walkway then that you would have as well. That has to be
a lot
factored
of sanding, a lot of shoveling,
Yeah.
a lot of snow blowing, a lot of salting. Yeah. And, so it wasn't in the cards.
I know when we recorded this on Thursday morning, of course, Friday morning, we're getting ready for the snowstorm coming in. And I guess it's a good time to kind of reiterate how you determine when school's going to be closed or not, because the district still does traditional snow days, at least a few, instead of the in-person or in the at-home learning. But there is a method to your madness on how you try to determine what this is, because you never, it's when we recorded this again on Thursday morning. Yeah, okay, they're saying this is what we're going to get, and Friday night or Friday at 3 o'clock in the morning, the storm actually went 70 miles to the west, and then we have no snow. So there's kind of a method here, right?
It is. It's probably the worst part of my job, I would almost say, is trying to predict the weather. We get informational packets days in advance from the National Weather Service. Actually, there's a webinar this afternoon with the National Weather Service. Now, lucky for us, we are not in school today and tomorrow. We are on our semester break these 2 days with teacher in service. But there's usually webinars as you get close to this with the National Weather Service, where they try to tell you what's going to happen. But I always say there's only two sets of people that can keep their job that go in the Hall of Fame for batting 300, and that's the weatherman and a Major League Baseball player. Now I appreciate weather people. I know it is a difficult job. You are predicting something that's impossible, and I appreciate everything they do, and I say that as a joke. But the National Weather Service has been a great partner for us, school districts, but yeah, you try to predict what's going to happen with the information you have. You use the resources you have. I think the easy ones are, when you wake up, if there's a warning, that's usually a pretty much an automatic, because they're very confident something's going to happen. The easy ones are when you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you see 6-8 inches of snow on the ground and it's still snowing and the wind is blowing. Those are easy ones to make. The hard ones are the ones where it's supposed to start snowing at 6 and you're supposed to get a bunch of snow all day long. And so you're kind of predicting what's going to happen, and then you pull the plug and cancel. And then, like you said, the snow shifts and you end up with 2 inches of snow on the ground and you look like a fool. But the bottom line is you do what you think is best. But yeah, my plan usually is, get up, try to make the decision as early as we can for families. We've tried to make the decision the night before if we can, if we have the information to be confident. But if I have to make it the day of, it's get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, drive roads. I work with a bus company. They drive a certain part of the district. I drive a part of the district. I work with Pepin and Plum City and Elma. They cover obviously parts of their district, which border ours. Our district is huge, so we got to rely on others. We communicate. Pepin, Plum City, Durand, and Elma communicate with each other. One of us, between the four of us, usually work with Pepin County Highway Department, kind of get a feel for what they're seeing, how long they think it's going to take them to get the roads cleaned off. So we work with them. So we try to get as much information we can, work with all of our local partners, and try to make the best decision we can to make it as safe as possible.
Well, it's that time of year. That is Durand, Arkansas School Superintendent Greg Doverspike. You're listening to WRDN.